Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Let's Hear It. Today's guest is John Lee Shannon. He's a great guitar player based in Brooklyn, New York. He plays a lot of electric guitar, he plays a B-bender guitar, but today he's going to show us his acoustic guitar stylings on a 1965 Guild M20. The Guild M20, made in Hoboken, New Jersey, famously known as the Nick Drake guitar because Nick Drake is pictured holding that guitar on the cover of his second album, which is called Brighter Later. The story about that is that the actual guitar he's holding there is not his. It's the photographer who took the picture actually owned that guitar. And a lot of people have always tried to determine what guitar Nick Drake was playing. There's not a lot of information. Basically, people think he was playing on a Martin. Some people say he was playing on a Levin guitar, a dreadnought-sized guitar. But Richard Thompson, who played on Nick Drake's first two albums, is quoted as saying that he always saw Nick with a small body Guild guitar. So it might not be the one that's on the cover of that album, Brighter Later, but apparently he did play most of his songs on a Guild guitar. And if you've never listened to Nick Drake, I highly recommend it. He's a fantastic acoustic guitar player, plays in many different open tunings, and very challenging to figure out what he's doing. And so John Lee Shannon has an acoustic EP out that he'll tell us a little bit about. It's called In and Of, and it's on the Tompkins Square label, which is really the preeminent record label for acoustic guitar music, instrumental music mainly. Let's say hello to John Lee Shannon. Hello, John.
Hey, Gary.
How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Good, yeah. I've been listening to your solo album, solo EP, I guess I should call it, a whole bunch, and it's just a very beautiful, beautiful songs, really sweet sounding record, and so congrats on that. Congrats on being on Tompkins Square as well. I think that's pretty cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's officially being released in just under a week, next Friday, actually.
Ah, perfect. And I saw the little promotional video that you put out, shot by our friend Ray Foley, and that is really, really lovely looking.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah, I was really excited to be able to work with Ray. I've actually known him for quite a while, but only worked with him one other time in that capacity. So yeah, I reached out to him to see if he'd be interested, and he was super excited, and we had a really good time making that video, and he just totally nailed it. It's beautiful. I'm really proud of it.
I like that blue couch too.
Yeah, that's one of my very good friends, Rachel. That's her place, and her and her partner Frank were kind enough to lend their space to us for the afternoon, and it was a really hot, sweaty July afternoon, but once we got in there and cooled down, it ended up being the perfect spot for it.
Nice. So tell us about this Guild M20. The M20 is an all mahogany guitar. I think it was originally their bottom of the line acoustic guitar, but people love them and they sound beautiful. Fairly similar to maybe a Martin 015 or 017. But tell us when you got it and what you love about it.
Yeah, so I got this guitar about a year ago, actually, a little over a year ago, and I had been working on this acoustic record for a while. And I've always just had basically one good acoustic steel string guitar, which is a Martin OM21 that I've had for probably close to 20 years now. But I just never really thought too much about like having other acoustic guitars. I kind of felt like if you have one good one, that's all you need, which is still true. But when I was really in the acoustic zone last summer, getting ready to go record that record, I started to, think about getting another guitar that I could use for, different tunings or just that had a different sound. And so I'd been kind of like on the hunt for something for a while. And then I was right in the midst of this big Nick Drake phase. And I just always loved the way, that guitar looks on the cover, like so many obviously do. And so I'd been kind of passively searching for one for a while. And, the great thing about these guitars is they are basically directly comparable to like a Martin single O 15 or whatever those are, but they're significantly less expensive. And so I knew that I could afford one if I could find it. So I just been looking for a while, and one of the great things about being in the city here is that Craigslist is always super active. It's never not hot with fresh gear. So once a week I'll pop in and just see what's around and if anything looks interesting. And I happened to notice that somebody had listed a vintage Guild M20, and the price was right. And I responded to the ad, and there were no pictures, which was weird, but that happens sometimes. So I reached out, and the guy wrote back to me and was like, yeah, I still have it. He told me about it, and he sent me some pictures later, and they were really nice photos, which would soon make more sense. But I actually emailed him about it, like probably in the spring or something, and then I talked myself out of it, because I was like, oh, I shouldn't spend the money on that right now. And like a month or so went by, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So finally, I sent the guy another email. That ad had disappeared, but I sent him an email and said, hey, I just was curious if you still had that guitar, because I think I want to buy it. And luckily, he wrote back and was like, I do still have it. And so I got on the train and rode over, and it ended up being this really cool photographer that just is over in Bushwick, which is the kind of the next neighborhood over from where I live in Williamsburg. And I went in, and the guy had a cool little like workspace, and he had a couple other like cool vintage acoustics, but he mostly had all his photo gear. And we just hung out for an hour or two and played the guitar, and then eventually I was like, okay, well, I'll take it. And that was that. And it's great because it's a 1965, like you said, but it's according to him, it's had the neck reset, which is always the fear with these even Martins, especially non-Martin vintage acoustics. You never know, and that's not necessarily a cheap thing to have done. So it had the neck reset, so it played great. And otherwise, I think it's all original. The pickguard is not. I have the one that it came with, but it was kind of shrunken and dried up, so that's not original. But otherwise, it's just as it was, and it's just a beautiful guitar, because as you well know, like these old acoustics back when they were spraying that old school nitro, just has this really beautiful like finish to it, where it's like it's not super shiny, but it's not like satin looking.
Yeah. And
it sounds amazing. It's got a pretty slim neck, which I'm not normally into, but for some reason it works on this guitar. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't feel cramped, even though it's pretty narrow, and the actual thickness of the neck is really thin too, but it kind of goes with the overall dainty vibe of this guitar.
That's an interesting story, considering what I said in the intro, where Nick Drake's the picture on the cover of Brighter Later is taken by a photographer who owned that Guild guitar, and you happen to find a Craigslist post where a photographer owned a Guild guitar. You should have had him take your album cover picture while you were there.
I should have. Well, maybe album number 2.
Yeah. Well, cool. So tell us about, so In and Of is your EP debut, and it's coming out on Friday, which will be, what's the date? October 2nd, I believe?
October 2nd, yeah.
So tell us where you made that and how you chose the songs that are on it, and then we'll hear what your guitar sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. So that record, it's a solo acoustic instrumental guitar record. It's 10 songs. So I guess it actually might be considered an LP.
Okay, yeah, so it's not an EP. That would be an LP. Long player.
Yeah, which, is a good or a bad thing, depending on how much you like solo acoustic guitar music. But it's 10 songs, 10 original compositions that I wrote over the last 2 or 3 years. And it's kind of just the culmination of this, like, really long-running labor of love that I've been, sort of putting time into whenever I could. I basically decided a couple years ago that I wanted to make a solo acoustic guitar record, and since then it was just a matter of, getting the tunes together and then learning how to play them. And so once I finally had things together, and with a lot of encouragement from our friend Neal, I ended up booking time at a studio in Stinson Beach, California, called Tape Op. It's called Panoramic house, but it's closely affiliated with Tape Op magazine. But it's a really beautiful, just kind of like mid 20th century house up in the hills of California. And if you've ever been to Stinson Beach, then you know it's like, you know, kind of a little hidden oasis. Like you have to drive over a mountain and through the woods and basically into the middle of nowhere. And then all of a sudden there's the ocean and this beautiful little surf town. So Neal had recorded there with CRB, and so he originally intended to produce the Kenny Roby record there. And so my recording session was going to be just sort of piggybacked onto the tail end of that session. And unfortunately, things changed, but I decided to still go and record, and fortunately they were willing to have me. So I went and spent 3 days there at the beginning of October last year, so coming up on almost exactly a year. And just, you know, sat in the live room, which is the living room of this beautiful old house with vaulted ceilings. And you know, they had every incredible old microphone and preamp and everything you'd ever want to record sound with. And yeah, I just got together with Robert Cheek, who is a great engineer, and it was just me and him hanging out in the house for 3 days and recorded these 10 tunes. And much to my delight, Tompkins Square was interested in working with me and putting it out. So yeah, they're releasing the album, and it's coming out next Friday, October 2nd. And it's just going to be a digital release initially, since the world may or may not end sometime soon. But once things go back to some kind of normal, then we'll do a physical release. But for now, it'll be available on Bandcamp and all that good stuff. You can actually, you know, go and pre-order it now, and then on the 2nd, it'll just magically appear in your Bandcamp app and for your download. But yeah, it's great. I'm really proud of it. The idea was just to make something, really, to get creative and write some songs. And that's kind of why I decided to just keep it all, you know, original tunes. There's no covers or arrangements of other tunes on there. It's all mine. But I'm really happy with how it came out. You know, it's just it's meant to just kind of be a relaxing thing to listen to. You know, it's like morning music or very late night music.
Good. Well, the world always needs that. And so are you going to play us a song from the record today?
Yeah, I thought I might play a little bit of a tune that I actually wrote and thought of its namesake because of another great, beautiful old acoustic guitar that I think you might have had on the show. Did you do one with Neal's Southern Jumbo? Was that the one Kenny played in his video?
No, I actually did a Southern Jumbo, Neal's Southern Jumbo, on my Instagram series before we started this show. And that is a beautiful sounding guitar, 1952 Gibson Southern Jumbo. It's actually living with our friend Eric Krasno right now in Los Angeles. He's been using it for some recording. And Eric, if you're watching, it's not your guitar, Eric. It's coming back to us at some point, but you enjoy it in good health right now. And all right, well, let's hear John play this lovely 1965 Guild M20.
Yeah, so this song is called Neal's Guitar Rag, which is named that because I wrote this song on Neal's guitar, the 1952 Southern Jumbo, which he was brave enough to leave with me for a few months after the Zephaniah Hora recording session. When Neal had to go back out on the road, he said he had his guitar with him, and he said, hey, do you want to just hang on to this until, you know, the next overdub session, which was a couple months away. So he left it with me, and I played it a lot, and while I was playing it, I wrote this song. So this is called Neal's Guitar Rag. There you go.
Oh man, beautiful. That is, it's pretty mind blowing to hear that, because obviously ragtime music was mainly written on piano in the early 1900s, and then people started learning how to play that style on guitars, and you just did it very well. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. Yeah, that's that tune actually was fun because it sort of just started with, you know, the very first part, and then I kind of always wanted to like write some kind of like guitar rag, because there's, you know, so much of that in the guitar sort of lexicon, but it's kind of hard to come up with something original. But I had that little seed of an idea, and then when I thought of the name, I decided, okay, well, let me actually make it a legitimate rag. So I started to do a little research, and I learned that, you know, like all those Scott Joplin tunes and true rags, there's a lot of songs called, you know, Bill's Country Rag and all that stuff, but a true rag is actually a very specific song form. So it's, I think it's A, B, B, A, B, B, C, C, A, B, B. So if you listen to tunes like, you know, The Entertainer or Maple Leaf Rag or whatever, they all follow that same kind of form. And so I sort of built that tune around that, and it was a fun little project.
Well, that's great, man. I can't wait for people to hear the whole album. And again, it'll be out on October 2nd and up on Bandcamp, I think, mainly, but we'll post a link to that. I think there's a preview up there now. I don't know if the whole record is up there, but there's a preview up there, correct?
That's right. There's one tune available now, which is like the first single. It's called Analog, and you can download that or buy it now, or if you pre-order the album, you get that tune. And then the other 9 will come your way on release day. But yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm sure it will dominate the pop charts because people are waiting for guitar rag instrumental albums. You know, maybe it's not that crazy because Tyler Childers has a record out right now of old time fiddle and banjo music, all instrumental except for one song that has a vocal on it, and I believe that's gone to the top of the charts, like bouncing out Alicia Keys and DJ Khaled or whoever those people are on the top 10 these days. So you never know.
We need an instrumental music renaissance. I think people are tired of hearing people's voices.
Yeah. Well, it's always nice to hear a beautiful instrumental album. So best of luck with it, and I hope to see you soon. I know that John plays with a friend of ours named Zephaniah O'Hora, who has a little bit of a hit himself right now on the Americana charts. So might be a studio session coming up, and hopefully I'll get to pop over there and see you guys.
Yeah, I hope so. Either way, it's great to see you here, and thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, I'll see you later. Well, there you go. Thanks to John Lee Shannon for joining us today and playing that beautiful guitar piece. I hope you all get to check out his album when it comes out on October 2nd, and you'll see a link here in the bottom, and you can hopefully go check it out and listen to some lovely acoustic guitar music. And we'll be back in a couple days with another episode, and if you can, subscribe to our YouTube channel or our Facebook page, and we'll keep these coming for a little while. Thanks.